Hello, everybody. I hope that everybody can enjoy the lovely sun just like we have. Before I bring our superstar over here, aka super guest, first of all, you should talk about and put him some pressure in the chat about it. But as always, trying to make sure that everything works fine. As you know, we are streaming on a website, but at the same time also on LinkedIn, on YouTube. So just want to make sure that everything works. So if you can in the chat, just like put a thumb up. At the same time, you know what I love to say is, are you joining? Yes, no. From where? I see a stream coming up in, yes, I see message coming in. That's lovely. Seems okay. All working. I see the people on the app. Fine on fine. Hello, Laurent. Hello, Jerry. Hello, Samar. You know what? Let's bring them in. Hello,
Hello,
Mr. Yannick.
hey Jonathan.
How are you doing, my friend?
All good, all good. Excited to be
All
here.
good.
Yes.
Excited to be here. That's already a good thing. So we have Jerry from the United States, man. We have people from Montpellier. Bonjour la France. People from Canada. So I don't know if I need to speak French or English with those. I love Canada, by the way. Probably one of the most beautiful country. It's good. I will leave a few seconds more to the people so that they can join. I see that we're popping up on all the streaming platforms, so seem to be working fine. Maybe Yannick, and that was not foreseen because you know I have always a little trick for you. Who is Yannick, and how long are you working here, and how do you pitch your job to your mom?
Pitching to my job to my mom is difficult. I think for the full 8 years I've worked at Gizmo, it has always been difficult. I started at Gizmo 8 years ago as front-end developer. A few years ago, I switched to the product manager role. So I have that combination of development love and some skills, and now on the product management side. And it brings me to this live coding webinar today. So yeah.
That's pretty cool. 8 years. So first job, I guess.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
So
cute, right?
basically, you get our employee number 5, folks, over here. I think, if I'm not wrong, I think it was employee 5 or 6. I know that Mika, which is in the chat as well, is like very close to you. So basically, you have that kind of special profile that went from the code to the product management, really trying to make the connection, I would say, with the market, but as well clients, prospects, supporting or customer success. And I think that's a very good transition to a couple of slides that Yannick prepared. What I am doing, as always, just trying to learn as much as the audience, potentially even more than the audience, because I'm probably less skilled than all those lovely people over here, which I say hello again, of course. And so, can you maybe give you like the red wire of the session? I know that we start for 45 seconds, that we will talk about personalization, complexity that shouldn't be complex, because at the end of the day everything is simple with Yannick, because Yannick always find a way to support the client. Can you bring us maybe a bit through this story of the day?
Sure. I think you're showing the not the correct slide deck, Jonathan.
That could be up. Here you
Yes,
go.
that's the one. Yeah, so this session will be about custom charts indeed. Well, first of all, what are custom charts? You know, in the Lusmo platform, we have, I think, around 30 default charts, bar charts, line charts, donut charts, and those are great for standard charts. But sometimes, as a Lusmo user, you have very specific visualization needs for your specific business, your industry. They're quite niche. And sometimes you just want to be able to move faster than our roadmap. So instead of sending a request like, hey, Lusmo, can you add this chart to your platform? With custom charts, you have the ability to write your own visualization codes and connect that easily to Lusmo. That makes it very powerful. You have full freedom to visualize the data how you want, and you're not bound to the speed of our roadmap. And because you have full control over the code, that allows you to go very deep in customizability, and the whole process is very flexible. And what's really nice about it is that we try to take most of the hard stuff out of your hands. So stuff like querying, interactivity, filtering of other charts in the dashboards, we handle all of that.
I already have a question for you, Yannick, then, because
Go
I'm
ahead.
still new as the new kid on the block, you know, and when I was studying, and I'm still restudying, they talk a lot about the Pareto rule, you know, that 20-80, and I love to see that kind of iceberg when you see 20% of that iceberg. And then you have that 80% that you don't see. And on the couple of months that I'm here now, I understand that on the visible part and where you will put some extensions to it, I have the feeling that you will like uplift a little bit the iceberg out of water with what you will explain today from the visible part 30 shorts, and you will give more access. But there is also all that complexity under it that you will try to express in a simple way, because from what I'm getting, visualization is one thing, but getting all that machinery behind it, in French they say the plumbering, is most of the time where the problem starts. Are you making a connection of both of this today?
Yeah, so you're right that the visualization is usually like the cherry on top, the last 20%. And under the hood, the Lusmo platform has like the query engine, the localization engine, and all that stuff, interactivity between charts. That's the invisible stuff below the water, and just putting the visualization on top is quite easy to do if you can take advantage of all that power that's under the water, the rest of the iceberg. So you will be able to see the power of what is under the water, and then we will focus on creating the charts and uploading that to Lusmo.
Okay, I also, you saw, and that is more to the audience, and we are like nearly 50 people over here. You see that I ask a lot of questions, and probably silly questions for most of you. So that means that all the other questions that you want to ask will be 20 times more smarter than my question. And I will make sure to bring them to Yannick, because that is what Yannick is also hoping today, to get a lot of interactivity with the audience. Yeah.
Exactly. So before we dive into the coding part, I want to very briefly give you a high-level outline of what we're going to do and the steps that you need to create a custom chart and connect it to Lusmo. So the very first step is that you need to clone our builder environment from our public GitHub page. That's a powerful development environment that you can use to create your code natively in your own IDE and see live the chart that you're creating. We'll dive into that in a bit. The builder environment looks like this. So on the left side, you can select datasets you want to use. You can see the columns. In the middle, you will define the slots that your chart has, basically the data your chart needs. And then on the right side, you can see a live preview of the chart you're building, which runs live the code that you're writing. So if you save your file with new code, that will update automatically, which is quite powerful to develop the chart. The next step is defining your chart slots. So as you may know, every chart in Lusmo has a few slots. For example, the bar chart has the category, measure, and legend slots. And of course, your custom chart will need custom slots. So you need a way to define those. We'll dive into that as well. The third step is where you will probably spend 90% of the time, and we will as well in the webinar, is writing the actual visualization code. So the nice thing is, once you've defined your chart slots and you drag some columns into those slots, we automatically generate a query and execute that query on your database. So that's a lot of the complexity already taken away for you. If you would, for example, want to create analytics completely from scratch, you would have to build your own query engine, which is very complex. With Lusmo, we handle all that for you, and you still have the flexibility to create your own charts. So yeah, you'll be writing visualization code in Visual Studio Code, in Cursor, whatever you use. And the very last step is, once you finish the implementation of the charts, to zip all that code and upload it to the Lusmo platform to be able to use it. That looks like this. And once you've done that, you can give your chart a name, and it will be available to use in the dashboard editor out of the box, which will also show at the end.
Sounds like a heavy plan. Just want to make sure, is that all loud and clear for everybody? I would love to see that in the chat, of course. If you have questions, chat. If you have also, like, outside of questions, opmerkingen, like we say in Dutch, like things that are maybe not super clear or that you want to investigate a little bit more, go. There is also an option that Yannick was not aware. I can bring people on stage if you want. So you can toast them with me. So that's something he was not aware. I can do that too. So just make sure that you ask those questions. I hope that all already fit. If you have use cases, I also know that Yannick is looking at use cases. Where were you stuck today that this kind of approach could solve it? We, and that is more the marketer talking over here, we want to connect this with real business pains or business solutions that we want to bring. So make sure to keep this as interactive as possible. Are you ready, my friend?
I am ready. Let's go.
Here you go then.
Thank you. Okay, let's dive into the live coding part. So as I just mentioned, step one is going to our official GitHub page, Lusmo, and finding the custom chart builder repo. It's a public repo, you can access it. And then you need to clone it. So I've already done that. So on the left, you can see my IDE, where I already cloned the custom chart builder. And to show you I'm not cheating, I have no active changes or anything, so I'm just in the fresh cloned state where we'll start from scratch with the charts. Of course, the second step when creating a chart is knowing which chart you want to create. And for this webinar, we will create a chart on sales data. So in my Lusmo account, I have a deals dataset that it's just a standard CRM dataset that contains a deal for every row. Some deals are open. It contains the probability that the deal will be won. Each deal is assigned to a sales rep and has an expected close date. And basically, the chart I want to create is some sort of network graph, something that looks a bit like this, where each sales rep in my team is a circle, and the open deals assigned to that sales rep are smaller circles around the deal, around the sales rep. So that will give me a nice view of my sales team and all open deals they're currently working on. So we want to visualize that a bit in a sort of network way with lines connecting the deals to the sales rep. Does that make sense, Jonathan?
The problem is now you will have our sales manager asking that so that he can like have a look at it based on our AEs, SDR, myself, and the marketing team. But it's very visual, and you know that I like visualization because it helped me understand better things. So I kind of understand the graph. And if I get it right, it was not something out of the box for more 30 charts.
No, it's a chart we don't offer out of the box, so we're going to create custom here to support it. All right, so on the left you can see my IDE if everything is good. So we're going to start with just an npm install to install our dependencies of the builder. There we go. And if we then just do npm run start, it will bring up the builder environment I mentioned. Once it's up and running, let me here. So it gives you the login page first. So what you need to do is log in with your Lusmo account. I will log in with my demo account if you bear with me.
Just making sure, again, make sure if it's not clean on the screen. At my end, it looks perfect, Yannick. I just let you handle your login and password at that time. So if there are some stuff that we can optimize during the live stream, because that is really live coding, live stream, live, just shoot it in the chat. And I see here, Joe, I am trying to create, oh, you know what? We'll do this. This is always much funnier that way. The market map, but I need to draw a geofence in the map. Can I iterate from? That's really a question for you. I think I can answer it, but because I'm in with a product manager, I will avoid getting a 0 on 10 on my first certification over here.
Yeah, throw the question if you. I can't read it, but go ahead if you want.
You cannot read it. So I'm trying to create a specific chart based on a Bing map similar to your marker map, but I need to draw a geofence in the map. Can I inherit from the market map, or do I need to set an iframe in the chart and draw it with my own code in the Bing map? I can jump on questions after if it's easier, maybe, but take it that I have it. Joe, pick your question and I will make sure that we answer. Let's run it. I will not give a piece of the answer. I will leave it to the expert over here. Yeah, but keep dropping those in the chat. Keep dropping those in the chat.
Okay, so in the meanwhile, our builder environment is up and running. So what we can do here is if you click on the left side, you can select any data sets that you have access to in your Lusmo platform, the data sets that you uploaded. You see if you select one, you have all columns of the data sets. In the middle, So what we have here is basically just some placeholder custom chart to start from. It's a column chart and it has 3 slots: category, value, and legend. But as I mentioned, what we want here is a network chart of our sales reps and their deals. And I also want to scale the circles of the deals with the deal size so that bigger deals are bigger circles. And I also want to color the circles of the deals according to the probability that the deal will be won. So from red to green, for example. To do that, I will need the data, of course. So the first step we're going to do is defining our custom chart slots that we need. The nice thing about the builder repo here is that it has a very extensive README right here that contains a lot of information about what you need to do, how you need to define custom slots. But what's even nicer is that you can feed that README to LLM coding tools like Cursor. So instead of reading out loud the complete README here, I will just feed it to Cursor and prompt what we want to do. So let's try that. So I want to create a network graph. Visualizes sales reps and their deals.
So basically, you're learning people to prompt at the same time.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm the best prompter, but it works. So I need the following data. I want the company name from my CRM set. I want, of course, the sales rep name, because those will be the circles. Then I want the deal amount. Then I need the probability that the deal will be won, and I need the expected close date of the deal. And so you need to define those custom slots in the manifest.json file. And you see by default, it has 3 slots: the category, measure, and legend. And that's exactly the 3 slots we see here. So whatever you put in here will be visualized as slots on the right side in the chart slots section. So we're going to ask Cursor to update the manifest.json file to contain these 5 slots and refer to the README and the slot schema, which is a validation file it can use. So let's try that. And so normally it should update this manifest.json to contain 5 slots, to have the sales rep name, the company name, the deal amount, the probability, and the expected close date. So it's parsing through the README file. It's thinking about which slots should come up with. And there we go.
Okay, so basically you started from a classic chart from us, those bars one, and then you're adding basically the layer of extra data that you will need to have more your map, and you're using the README, which is like the user guide of every application on a GitHub. You feed that, in this case, an LLM, that so he can support you in coding or at least identifying those slots.
Yeah, so we specifically made a README verbose and powerful to be usable for LLM coding tools. And so you see it's updated my manifest.json, and what you see on the right here in my chart slot section is that we now have exactly those 5 slots that I asked for. So we went from 3 slots for the default chart to the 5 slots that we need for our custom charts. So you see it has the sales rep label, the company label, the deal amounts, the probability. Let's check if all slots are required. Yes, that is perfect. And what we can now do is show you a first powerful moment. I'm going to take my deals dataset and I'm going to add the correct column to each slot. So I'm going to search the sales rep column for the sales rep slots, the company name for this slot, the deal amount for the amount slot, the probability for the probability slot, and then the close date, the day level for the last slots. And once all required slots are filled, what will happen, and there we have the iceberg again, is that behind the scenes, Lusmo will generate a correct query for your based on your slot configuration and query the data on your data set.
Is it correct, Yannick, to say that what you just said, that Lusmo will do, is part of that invisible part of the iceberg?
Exactly, yeah.
If I'm making analogies, I'm sorry, guys, but it's easier for me that way. That's part of the magic when you work with Lusmo, is that querying engine that we have in place.
Okay. So what you see now is all required slots are filled, and we immediately have a query result. We have 1,500 rows, which is exactly the amount of rows in my data set. And you see that each row contains 5 items, which makes sense because I have 5 slots. So you see the first one is the sales rep name. The first guy is Jason. The second one is the company name. The third one is the expected close date, which is a date here. The fourth one is the deal amount, which is 16K for this example deal. And the last one is the deal probability, that it will be 1, which is 20% or 0.2 for this deal.
That's not great, huh, man?
That's not great. So the first step, I think we're not even 5 minutes or 10 minutes in, and we already have a working query and query data that we can use to feed into our chart to start the visualization process. If you would do this completely from scratch without Lusmo, that would take a bit longer than 10 minutes. I would say way longer to build your own query engine. Okay, so the first step is handled. We have the data, we have the custom slots, and now we basically need to leverage this data, read this data to start creating our custom visualization, which we will replace the column chart here with our custom visualization. So what you see here on the left is that in my custom chart folder here, that's the folder we will be working in, we just updated the manifest JSON file to contain the custom slots. And you see a few more files here. You have the chart.ts file that contains basically 2 methods that you will need to implement if you create a custom chart. The render and the resize methods. The names speak a bit for themselves. The render methods will be called when the chart needs to be drawn the first time. And the resize method will be called when the chart is resized, for example, in the dashboard editor, when you make it smaller or bigger. And you need to implement these 2 methods, basically read the data that's coming in and visualize accordingly. So you see in the render method, you have a few properties available, the data, the slots, the slot configurations, which we just created, some options for the chart, which importantly contains the theme of your dashboard, because your dashboard can have many different themes, so you need to be able to tweak the colors based on that theme, the language, and then the dimensions of the charts, which are width and height. So what we'll do next is implement this render function. And then we also have a CSS file where you can put any CSS for custom styling of your custom charts.
Personalization, here we go.
Exactly.
Yannick, I'll just pick a question now. I know that we were saying that we will do it at the end, but I think that one is like really a good connection with what you're doing. Regarding the LLM, how reliable is it? Is it the generic OpenAI, or has it been prompt engineered to support Lusmo specific queries?
No, it's totally not engineered for Lusmo. It's just, I'm just using Cursor with default Claude 4 Sonnet. So it's not, it's just a public model. So there is no tailoring at all to Lusmo. I'm just using default
really
Cursor
with the default solution that they put in there.
Yes.
It could be other solution that embark it, and you don't have any preferences that it's now a Claude, a ChatGPT, or whatever. In that case, I got it right.
Of course, the key thing here is that we feed the README, which contains a lot of information about Lusmo custom charts. We feed that into the context, which is of course why it knows what to do. That's really the key here.
I hope it was a good answer for you, Andrew, and I let the man keeping on his demo.
Yes, let's start with the visualization. So the first step is we're going to create a circle for every sales rep in my dataset. So let me prompt that. So we want to organize them a bit in a circle themselves. So position them in a circular pattern in the chart and use an image of the sales rep in the circle. It's always a bit nicer if you see a face instead of just a name. In my dataset, I don't have images, so we will just for now use a placeholder website that can generate random images. For example, Prevatar.cc, that's one of those websites. So let's start with this. We're just
okay. So just trying to reframe what you did, Yannick. You went in the where you can prompt basically, and you were defining that kind of visualization that you want with some consideration and repushing that so that he use again that README, which was like a good answer for Joe from what I get. It's and that's basically what you're doing. You're just expressing what you wanted to see, like we do with every kind of LLMs today.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm going to be a bit more specific. I want to implement the render function, which I just mentioned in the chart file.
And so basically, if it goes wrong, the funny thing, if I'm more a marketeer again, you can like iterate and iterate and iterate until you have what you want. I think that's the beauty as well of that kind of live coding session, because this is really live. So if it doesn't look like you want, we'll just reprompt it with some more specification, because at the end of the day, the prompting is more specific and you can guide him, or better is the output. Input equal quality of output, low input, low output. In this case, you are iterating input output.
Yeah, and the trick is usually to keep the scope small, so really work step by step. I could try to build the whole chart in one prompt. I actually did that once and it worked quite well, but I think it's also for demo purposes clear if you just go step by step.
Yeah, definitely.
So this is I think the biggest step. So Cursor needs to think for a while. But the end result should be like a circular pattern of all sales rep in my data sets with a random image. Of course, we want those images to be the real image, but for those, they need to be in the data set. So let's see what my friend here cooks up.
It's really funny because you said it needs to be in the data set. You're talking about those images where you say use placeholder. If we had really the links, then you could apply the links. That's what you just like emphasis over here.
Even your data sets, indeed, you have a unique URL to an image of your sales rep. You can add that.
You should steal the LinkedIn profiles URL of the people. That's something we can do.
So the nice thing about custom charts is you can render images. You can, to come back to the question from Joe, I think you can render maps. So you do have really a lot of power that you can leverage to load custom content in.
I will be honest with you. Joe came with a question to his question, but he couldn't make it more than 8 minutes with us. But I make a promise that we would answer it and that we will get back to him also in a follow-up. So I will make sure to toast you with that one, because at least I have one. What stuff coming up? Stuff coming up.
Yeah. So that's not a bad start, I would say. We have exactly what I asked, my sales rep in a circular pattern with their images. And Cursor was a bit creative, it seems. They also added a small number with deals, the number of deals for each sales rep.
Okay, we don't see it very well on the screen, but so the orange dot is basically based on the data set that says that, I don't know, Yellery has 12 deals, the other has 5, and he took it from himself, like excès de zèle.
Okay. Yeah, so the data, of course, is correct, but he decided to come up with that on his own, which is fine. All right, so if you can switch on top here the theme of the charts, and what you see is if I switch the theme, nothing happens. That's because we haven't implemented any theming in the chart visualization code yet. So let's do that first.
Sorry, question from the dummy guy. What's a theme?
A theme is how the colors of your dashboards. So in Lusmo, you have the default light, the default dark theme.
Dark mode, light mode, like we would have. And where I was asking you the last time, I want a rainbow style.
Yeah, we don't have that theme here. But of course, if you select dark mode, you want the background of your chart to be dark and you want the text to be white so it's readable. So we're now going to implement that. And as I mentioned, that's available on the options. You see we have a theme property. And so what I can do is if I click here, again, I can feed that to Cursor. So implement or use the options.team object to style my chart. Use the team config type. And then I'm going to feed in this file that contains the Lusmo team definition and everything that's in there. So I want two specific things. I want to style the background of the charts. Let's see, according to the items background. So I'm just using the names of the Lusmo object. And style the text of the sales rep according to the background of the charts. There we go. So it's just going to change the background now and some text colors.
There is Bart that tell me that I can go very bold, as bold as possible with teams, you know. So I will ask him a question. How well did he went with bold? I'm really curious about how creative our clients and partners can be around it.
Yeah, you can go crazy with themes. You can create pink, rainbow, bow, whatever you want. So let's see. I was going to update my chart codes to use the theme itself. So in there it will read the items background and use it accordingly.
The themes has nothing to do with that CSS that you were talking previously, Yannick?
You can use both the theme and the CSS to implement personalization.
Okay.
But the theme is more dynamic. So if you upload the chart,
it would apply to a broader.
Yes, the CSS is a bit static, and the theme is dynamic depending on the theme that you're using in your dashboard editor. So we see the first change, we see the background changing depending on the theme. And now it should change the text color as well.
It's crazy to see that that live coding. It's my first live coding session, by the way. Sorry, guys. I stopped at HTML, CSS, and then everybody in my previous company told me, John, you're just bad at coding. Stop coding. And they were definitely right to tell me not to do that. So I'm more like the no-code WYSIWYG editor kind of profile over here. But for me, that is really magic, man. When I see those kind of things, it's really crazy.
It's nice to see it come to life step by step. Okay, so it's taking a while to update the text as well, but what I can show already is...
we have already team adaptation at the text.
Yes, so now the color of the... So if I go to light mode, it adapts. The urban theme has a bit of a different background color and the Royale theme as well. So you see that exactly that color is used. And if I would use my chart in the dashboard editor, it would respond to the theme. So that's a very nice step forward. And it even changed the color of the circle depending to the main color of the theme. So there we go.
And that's also with the highlight, if I get it right, it's really highlighting the one that you go with your mouse now,
yes,
which was, I don't believe the case. And then you have that over, the alt over on it, which was also not there, or it was. You know that text that we see appearing now? We see text appearing now.
Yeah. So Cursor is indeed going all out and implementing a tooltip. I think it's because it's in the README, it saw that it can implement a tooltip and it just decided to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to accept those changes. So now we have the sales reps with dynamic background of the theme, which adapts to the theme that we're using. All right, so next step, we now just have our sales reps, but of course we want to see the circles representing the deals as well. So that's going to be the next step. So
step one was to make a bar like a circle with the name of the people then? That was step one. Then the step two was let's play with teams so that we can go from dark mode, light mode, urban mode to really disappointed that you didn't do it rainbow mode, but okay, it's unique, it's fair. And so now your next move is to put that relation where we have the blue bubbles over here that say the amount of deals, and that we can use this in a more visual aspect as well.
Yes. So
That's
I'm
what
asking
he
for each sales rep to add their own deals as a circle close to them, also in a circular pattern around them, and also to draw a connecting line between the sales rep and the deal.
love that.
So that will create the network. So let's give him some time to cook again. And what should happen then is, yeah, we should see something like this appearing.
How much time would it have been taken? Because basically what Yannick is demonstrating over here is that basically creativity of our clients will be the limit. Because it feels, at least on my end, that there is no limit in what you're doing, definitely not with the README, the GitHub, the support, and everything that goes in it. And so before that, if we wanted to upgrade or provide more types of charts, it would have taken like maybe for each chart a day of work, more or less. What's just because you're there 8 years, you can kind of give us like an idea, because that is why sometimes product didn't evolve that fast in the past and can now evolve very fast today and even more faster in the future. Is that how we should consider the world change at the moment?
Yeah, indeed. It takes a lot of time to add a chart to the platform for us, of course, because it needs to support any data type. It needs to be very responsive. If you are going to create a custom chart for your very specific use case, you can take a bit shortcuts, let's say, because it needs to work only for you and for your specific use case. So you're able to move way faster.
You have a narrowed complexity that allow you to go much faster.
Exactly.
And of course, because we have all that kit available, you go very fast. Quick question from Joe, and I think that one is one that we can take. Woo! He goes wild. He goes wild.
We're going to need some tweaking.
I love that. I don't know. It's Stargate kind of stuff. Is this tooltip customizable by his end user? The tooltip that we saw, the gray box, I believe, is what Joe was mentioning. Can the end user kind of adapt that?
No. So you define it in the code, and it will
that was my 2 cents too.
Render the data. Yeah. So it's not customizable. But the normal tooltips in the normal charts are not customizable by the end user either. So that's in line. So it seems like it decided to add text for some reason. I'm going to delete that.
It's funny because I have the feeling he's trying to make a mandala. You know, those things that you give to kids to draw. So yeah. Joe, sorry, no end user access on that one. Maybe some upgrades later on, but I think we need to understand better the use case of this one. And you will be on stage, so you can toast Yannick in probably 15 minutes maximum. So basically here what happened is you don't like the output, so you're like reducing the code access that he has and the information so that he focused really on the query that you were providing him.
Yeah, so I decided to put the name of the company of the deal below every circle, which is which leads to an explosion of information on the screen. And also, I don't like the circles. I want them to be smaller. So I'm going to ask that to adjust the styling of the circles. And we mentioned we want to color code the circles by deal probability. So I'm going to ask it at the same time. So color the circles by deal.
Watch out, Yannick, watch out. You told me one instruction at a time, and now you're pushing 2 instructions at the same time. So if you okay, you can handle that one. Okay, let's count on Cursor's black magic to handle both of it.
So from red to green, and keep in mind the probability is between 0 and 1.
Don't feel shy. I love the question of Joe, and it's not. I will not put everybody on stage, so don't be scared. Just drop the question that we can like kindly toast Yannick in like probably 10 minutes or something like that.
Yeah. So once our chart looks good enough, of course, we're not going to, in 1 hour, come to the most extreme fancy charts, but I do want to show the final part of uploading the custom chart to the Luzmo platform. So I'm going to show that at the end as well.
The other graphic that you were showing, I guess that was part of your reflection when you were thinking about this live coding session. That was really the final output. I think we may be honest, it's probably a bit more than an hour because they were back and front and you were thinking about it, but it didn't took like a day of work either to build it
No,
at the
no,
end of the day.
that was, I think, 3 hours. Yeah.
Okay.
And it had custom filtering, it had hover effects, all that stuff. So it really went, okay, the color has changed, but not perfect yet.
But he's still busy there, huh, from what I'm seeing. Oh, no, he tells you the AKA the changes that he did, if I can read like through the lines.
Mm-hmm. So let's see what he did with. Checking which color he used.
Flashy green.
Yeah, it shouldn't be all green.
Basically, what he applies there that you don't like, but let's say it that way because it's not what you wanted or expected. You wanted basically circles with a gradient based on the amount, and so that you could have different colors of circles around each sales rep.
Exactly.
Okay.
Going to check which data it's using here. So sometimes to debug, just using console log statements. Okay, I see what's going wrong. He's taking the wrong value.
You just make me feel even worse about my inability to code. With you go from left to right and readapt stuff. Hey, this is your world, guys. Huh? I'm talking to the 50 people over here. I hope that is appealing and that you see the agility and the honesty that we try to have with it. At least I hope so. Of course, I'll install on my machine. My wife will cut me in pieces in the weekend because I will try to reproduce what you did. I will use that for the football.
This code is correct, but it's using incorrect data. Let's see.
Mika, I will talk to the marketing. When we complain about hallucination, well, you get the right word over there. They have the same problem with the coding. He's going wild sometimes from what I'm getting.
It's just, I think it's using the incorrect index of the data. So here the probability is the last item, but it seems it's using the deal amount instead of the probability.
For the color scheme that you wanted to apply.
Yeah. So it's just, it's always a number bigger than 1, which is why it's always green.
Yeah, me too, Gary. When I look at it and the guy is 2 days at the office just in front of me, each time I see Yannick, and definitely you should have a look because research with Luzmo also was kind of built with that kind of live coding, but Yannick didn't want it to say to come on stage and show how he built the entire page yet. Still need to convince him a little bit, but definitely have a look at the research.luzmo.com. I think you can see like really cool stuff that is between the lines of what we're showing here, and there's some good information more from a marketing standpoint of view over there as well. Definitely have a look. Would love your feedback as well. Haha!
I found it. So it's taking the wrong indexes as I thought here. So the sales rep is the first item of the data. Yes, the company name is the second one. But then the close date is number 3. The deal amount.
Well, Yannick, we went a bit over what we said. We said live coding, not live debugging. So next time I will need to use both of it in the sentence.
That's how it goes. Okay, now it's better, but still not very good looking. I think part of the problem is it's taking all data, so also deals that are closed and deals that are way out in the future. So maybe as a last thing before we upload the chart, I'm going to ask it to use a bit less data. So filter out data where the probability equals 1 because that deal is already closed.
I told you like 15 minutes ago, Yannick tried to please me and during a Mandela. I'm sure. Probably that the cursor has some like ears as well, and he's hearing our conversation, Yannick, and trying to compound it.
So what I wanted to do as a next step is also scale the distance of the lines between the sales rep and the deal increasingly with distance, depending on the close dates of the deal. So deals that are further ahead in the future are further away from the sales rep. And if I do that, you will have less the Mandela effect and more like a network with varying lengths.
Can you maybe just re-show the final work that you had, just to see if I understood well what you said, maybe?
Yeah, sure. I can show that at the very end. Not to throw away my active work here.
Okay, if you tap, you will be lost. That's it. Gerdy is also making, I guess you could limit the data also using filter once it is live.
Yeah, true. Here we're just going to hard code the filter in the visualization code, which is kind of a hack.
I will just re-put the question because then it's on the record. Limit data also using filter once it's live. The answer is definitely yes. And that's again all what we offer with the entire platform that they can use as component in their out of the box.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Thank you for the question, Gerdy.
So it's not exactly doing what I want again. But yeah, it's assuming that the probability is a number between 0 and 100, which is not true.
It was between 0 and 1 that you said.
Yeah,
no?
yeah, that's indeed the reason. We're not going to have enough time to fix everything here, but I think that you can see the base concept of creating custom charts. So we queried our data sets, we defined custom chart slots for our custom charts, which automatically created the query and queried the data here, which you can use. And then we're using that query data to create a visualization. It's not looking the best yet, so you would need a bit additional time. But what I want to show you now is how you can upload that to Luzmo, because that's of course also a crucial part of the process. So if you go to the package JSON file, you can see a command here. Build. So if you run npm run build, what it will do is it will take the code that you created and the custom charts definitions and basically package that into a nice zip file. So we see the script running here and the zip file was built successfully. And now we have a new folder here, the custom chart build output, which contains the bundle basically. What you can also do is provide a custom icon for your chart that you will see in the dashboard editor. But we will, for now, keep just the default placeholder for that. But you can also fully customize the SVG in this icon to have it look like your chart. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this zip that we built that contains this code. I'm going to switch to Luzmo. And if you go to your settings page, and then the custom charts page, you see here all custom charts that you've uploaded. So what we want to do now is click the Add Custom Chart button. Let's call it Sales Network Graph. Sorry, that needs to go here. This needs to be the unique type. What we're then going to do is find the zip file that we built on our computer. So in the custom charts builder, we have the output folder and then the zip file. So let's upload that one. And you see the zip was uploaded successfully, and we now have this new custom chart entry here, which is using the default placeholder icon, as I mentioned. And what you can do now is just go to the Lusmo dashboard editor. Let's take the dataset that I used as well in the demo. That's this one. And if you now take the add item menu and you scroll to the very bottom, you see our new chart, the sales network graph. And you can already see some placeholder because we don't have data in the chart yet. And so you can see the slots that we defined, the 5 custom slots. You can see them right here in the overlay. So what we're going to do now is take our data sets and just start adding data to the chart. So we had company name. We're going to add that to company. We had the sales rep name, which we're going to add to the correct slot here. Then we have the deal probability right here, the close date, and then the final one is the amount of the deal. So once all required slots are filled, you see that we have the not very nice looking yet custom chart, but it's connected in the Lusmo platform. And what we just built, we connected that in a few minutes to the Lusmo dashboard editor. It's just like any chart you can use. You can drag it around in your dashboard editor. And indeed, as Gary mentioned, you can now filter. So let's do that. I'm going to take a slider and let's add the probability on that. So you see it's between 0 and 1. So we only want to see, for example, deals between 0 and 0.9. Let's see. Yeah, I think really it's representing the data internally incorrect, but that filter. And if we take a slicer filter, for example, if we want to filter out some sales reps, that will be the most visual.
Yeah, I believe because of your wheels are so tight that we can not really see the 01 probability adapting in the visual directly.
So if we want to disable some of the sales rep here and just filter out a few of those, you see that the chart instantly responds to my filter. Let's filter out one more guy. And you see that the network updates. If I enable them all again, it updates again. So it's really updating live to the filters coming from other charts. Again, that can be not limited only to filter items, but if I add the sales rep guy to a bar chart and filter from the bar chart by clicking a few bars, again, we have the same effect. So I think that's very powerful. We didn't need to write any custom code for that, for the wiring between the charts, and you see that the filtering works out of the box between the out-of-the-box Lusmo charts and the custom charts. If we would have a bit more time, I could implement filtering as well in the custom charts, and that would show you that you can also send a filter from the custom chart. If you would click, for example, one deal, that the rest of the dashboard would also filter, the rest of the charts would filter to that one deal. But that is not implemented yet, I think.
It's pretty impressive, man, because you're busy for like 40 minutes, because I like always eat 10 minutes of those with my intros. What I kind of love is when we were filtering on the sales rep, man, you were revealing the face of the sales rep. So if I'm a sales manager and that I see the face of my rep, basically I have an issue, because that means that he's not on enough deals. If you don't see the sales rep, then it's a good stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
It could be a cool way, you know. It's like when you were scratching stuff when you were a kid, you know, to unveil. It really looks like that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yannick, what I would like to do, depending if you agree, I would love to like stop screen sharing your screen. We will pull Joe on stage so that we can pick up his question. There are other questions that bumps in as well, that we just can like maybe 5-6 minutes have an open conversation about everything that you run and jump into those questions. Does that make sense for you, mate?
Sure. Let's do it.
Okay, it's the first time that we do this, so let's try. Oops, no. I need to go on Joe and invite to studio. So at that time, I don't know what happened. So Joe probably got something. This question, I can take it here. You get the recording, will be on the site the latest tomorrow. You can already rewatch replay on YouTube and LinkedIn because they will automatically push that directly within the system. I'm looking if I see Joe coming in the back end, not yet. So that was for you, Jerry. And again, make sure also to ping your customer success manager. If they have questions, they can reach out to the team and we go back to you. I think on Gerdy's maybe question, we can already go there. Not sure if Joe is still there. That's why I know that he also had some appointments and not sure it's working. How do you assure the stability of the platform remain guaranteed in case of badly code shorts? I think it's a very decent and honest question to answer, my friend.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things we do. So each custom chart is sandboxed in an iframe. So that means that the code you run there cannot interact with other parts of the other charts. So it's really sandboxed within that custom chart. So that also takes away any security concerns. And if you have if you have a custom chart that's finished and that's used in production dashboards, for example, we also provide a versioning mechanism for those custom charts so that you can first test your change on your own in the dashboard editor before you push that new version live to all your dashboards. To prevent unwanted surprises because of what you coded in the custom charts.
So we can say that we put kind of as much as we could of safety guards and also the ability to go back if something goes wrong, and so that we can protect the user experience and also all the performance aspect.
About the filtering, if you send badly formed filters from your code, from your custom chart, we also guard against that so that you don't have query filtering in all dashboards.
Okay. Here we go. And Gerdy, huge thank you for the questions. I feel less alone by being able to ask good questions now. I would assume that custom charts are bound to user that can be shared between users, just like dataset and dashboards.
They're bound to an organization, actually. So they're available. So once you upload the custom chart, it's available only for yourself. So you can do a bit of testing. Once you see it's okay, you can publish it, which means that every user in your organization will have access to it in the dashboard editor. You don't need to do a separate sharing action with each user. You just publish the chart to the whole organization at once.
Okay, so you're basically distributing it at scale directly from the first inception. Okay, cool. Gerdy, again, happy to pull you on stage. Didn't work directly with Joe. I'm not sure about how it's working either, but if you want to go on stage, just say it in the chat. I'll bring you on it with pleasure. If you miss an answer as well, just let us know. Does the Lusmo repo include info on how to use AI to generate code?
Not specifically, no, but we optimized the README to be LLM or AI friendly. But if that would be interesting, we can add specific examples of how to prompt the repo to get you started.
Okay. Again, Jerry, if that makes sense, reach out, marketing@actito.com, reply to all the emails you're getting from us. Those are not spam, only valuable emails. I keep it also that way, at least I hope. So make sure that you can drop those to us as well. I think we answered that one on the fly, if I was not wrong, Yannick, with you, that we could basically limit the data by using filter once it's live. And that was like the last piece of what you were showing.
Yep. So if you want, if you want a certain filter to always apply, you could hard code that in your visualization code if you want. If you want it to be more dynamic based on the selections in the editor, you can just keep all data and make it respond to the filter selections like I showed at the end, indeed.
Okay, now wait, because I have those. That was the long one. I made the promise that we would answer that, and there are two pieces of it. Yannick, I think you can read it as well now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm trying to create a specific chart based on the Bing map, similar to your marker map, but I need to draw a geofence in the map. Can I inherit from your marker map, or do I need to set an iframe in the chart and draw with my own code in the Bing maps? Maybe if you can, the question is probably super clear for everybody in the data world. I'm trying still to understand the difference between the Bing map and the marker map. I guess two different type of libraries that are used in the world today, and that we have one and he's using another one. Is that kind of the context?
I think he's asking if he can start, like, the marker map is one of our default charts in Lisbo. I think he's asking if he can start from that chart, basically clone it, and then change some things in it. The question there is no for now. So our chart code is not available to you, so you cannot clone it or inherit from it. If you want to create your own map, it's best that you start from scratch, and indeed just take a layer like Bing Maps and draw your own markers over that. So you cannot clone our charts and make small changes in them, if that answers your question.
I believe so too. And I think that is like the follow-up of the question, which you answer at the same time, in my opinion. But again, we'll just take the time to reread it. One more thing on the geofence map. I still need to exact feature of marker map to show dots on the map representing trackers that are in a certain position, but I will need to visualize whether this tracker or trackers are inside or outside a geofence.
Right. I think what would be best there, if you really want to base yourself on one of our charts, is to get in touch with our solution engineering team, because we also offer professional services to write custom charts for you or with you. And if it's feasible, they can base themselves a bit on our code for our marker map and help you get started a bit with that, so that you don't need to recreate everything from scratch. I think that would be the best bet.
So the idea would be basically to duplicate what we have and then bring the extension and the high level of personalization that Joe is looking could be one of the way of working around his specific use case, correct?
Yeah, but that would need to be together with a solution engineer from us.
Totally agree. Reliable is okay. README, we answer it. Feel free to drop other questions if they are. I'm not marrying to the Bing map. Oh, Joe is back. We'll try to pull him in. Don't know if it will be working. What if we, oh, I think we can answer that one on the fly then. What if embedded to use of a customer organization?
Do you mean a sub-organization specifically?
Well, I'm not sure that, yeah, you reframe it because I was talking at the same time. Sorry, man.
Yeah, no worries. It depends what you mean specifically. If that's a sub-organization of your own organization, that chart is available to them also by default, because it's in your organization and you publish that chart to everyone in there. So that should be possible, if I understand the question correctly.
Okay, no, I'm so happy. Somebody dared to go on stage with us. Hello, Joe. Can you maybe just talk to make sure that we hear you?
Test. Can you hear me?
And the test is perfect. So go roast him.
Look, I don't want to roast Yannick. I just had the question about that. I don't know if it was clear. I apologize for the disconnected nature. I really just want to know if I can put a Bing Maps in there. I'm okay to do that. I know how to do it. I just didn't know if I could put a Bing Maps in your. I missed a bit of the seminar because I've been distracted, but I think you have full HTML control CSS. Is that right in there?
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't tried it myself yet, so I cannot be 100% certain, but I'm quite sure that you should be able to put in Bing Maps and draw that as a layer. So I would advise you to just try it out. And if it's not working for you, get in touch with the support team and we can take a look how to make it possible. Okay. But we really want that to be possible because, of course, yeah, maps are an important visualization. So we do want to support that.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Joe, did you have the other answer on your other question, or were you not back yet?
Because
I made the promise that everything will be answered, and Yannick answered everything. I will not extend it, but just so know, the replay is ready in probably 10 minutes already on the social media platform. So the answer, or at around 57 minutes of the record, then you have all your answers normally.
Oh, I saw that. I think your answer to the customization was no. And the reason I'm asking is because if I do a marker map, the little markers, I can customize my tooltip by dragging in the properties that are off the data sets. So that's the kind of thing I was looking to do. So for example, if I have a tracker, I'll just call it a tracker, right? I would want to show the tracker number and so forth and some information. Now I understand from your demonstration, I can do that myself as a coder. I can put whatever I want in the tooltip, My question was, could I let my end users to use my custom chart? I'm probably always going to do it, so this is probably not a big deal. But even for myself later, if I decided, oh, I want an additional line on this tooltip, I guess I'm going to have to go back to the code to add that additional line in the tooltip for now, what it sounds like.
Yeah, indeed.
Okay.
Of course, your tooltip can respond to the specific data that you're hovering over, of course, because you have access to the data. But the specific lines you have in there, you need to code in your chart. If you want to update that, you need to update the code. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
My pleasure. It was good to have you on stage, Joe. And for Gerdy, that was his answer. So he says, clear, thanks. Good job, mate. Joe, I will remove you from the screen so I don't annoy you with too much noise. But if you have other questions, just let me know and I can bring you back. Otherwise, I still have one more question over here, but I think you kind of answer it directly. Which element are you using? You were more on the default from Cursor in this case. And I think you said that basically people can use whatever they want.
Yeah. You can use your own model preference there. I use Claude 4 Sonnet, which is their latest release from the Claude models. I think it's the best for coding. It can get a bit over-eager sometimes. It can do too much compared to what you're asking. But in terms of creating a good UI and visualizing data, I think it's the best model. So that's the one I prefer to use.
That's it.
If you want to use OpenAI, you can also do that, of course.
Okay, we are done, mate. No more questions. We answer everything. Could you spell?
Sure.
Okay. He's popping up in the chat directly for you, Jerry, so you could copy paste it, Claude 4 Sonnet. It's funny because he's also really good at copywriting, better than at ChatGPT in my opinion, but I will not go deep in LLMs, good or bad. That will not be like the topic. But I would love to hear, because we're still with a bit more than 20 people over here, if you can just let us know in the chat if you like this. Is this useful? Is it not useful? Did you dislike it? What should we do better? You know, feedback is like, everybody's always saying that, and I'm making like the old 43 guy over here. Feedback is a gift. That is how we can make it better. Personally, I did really love the fact that we went live. I think that is what we want to stand for at Luzmo, being there for our customer, showing what's possible. You see that the end work didn't end up like Yannick was looking to get done in 45 minutes, but we were able to show you, I think, quite impressive functionalities and capabilities of the platform. And so I'm really thinking about some academy or more like live coding session, more in that kind of way of sharing with you. I'm trying to be a bit like the glue between the market and our internal people. Yannick kindly help us for this. And so if you want more, you need to write more in the chat. I will play it a bit like, you know, the viral game, just write more. And then I know that it was successful for our end. At my end, I want to say huge thank you, mate. I really like that. I think one day I will build a hackathon with 250 users that I will let them come to Leuven, and then we will rent, I don't know, a crazy place where we can code an entire weekend. That would be so cool, man.
As long as there's pizza, I'm in.
If pizza is only made 100%. I think, yes, you shared coding screen, what's small and hard to read. Yes, I can get that. I might be thinking to find a way with Yannick, maybe in the follow-up, you know, like maybe providing the code so that you can maybe just like import it in your coding app, and then you would have the access. So that might be a way. The thing is, I cannot Zoom when Yannick is working, because otherwise he will kick my ass that I'm trying to execute on his screen, which would be fair. So I can kind of get that the Zoom, we can think about maybe some options over there. Gerdy was seriously impressed again. I love the again. We really try to do our best on a daily basis. Would love to have the feedback from your coders, Gerdy, as soon as you have them on it. I think Yannick will love to have that feedback as well. I see useful until the beers hit it. Default quality 720. If you yeah. That's what I said. I'm streaming 4K, but the streaming platform are reducing basically the quality. And if you go in that little wheel, normally you can improve it. I saw that on LinkedIn. It was not feasible, but it was on YouTube. And I should have looked at the things. We will find better ways. that's my option. I get it. More readability about the code. We can maybe even provide the code upfront so that you can do some like lookalike when Yannick is coding. So we will be thinking about that. But mate, everything is positive. So I will toast you more and more in the coming weeks and months. So sorry for that. Thank you very much. I really like this session. Getting more and more excited about all the capabilities, and seems really that creativity is the only blocker that we could see today, or that I can see today at the moment. So that's really, really cool. So on that end, I know that for the European, Central European people, we are over 5 p.m. Yannick will need to put his second hat, which is young dad over here. So I will let him go as well on his other duty. Thank you again. Feedback is a gift. See you very soon, folks. And yes, again, dikke merci, jong. Cheers.
Thanks, everyone. It was fun.